Hi, this is Whispers in the Wind, and this will be the reading for the sign of Leo for the month of May 2023. The deck that I'm using is the Rider-Waite deck by Pamela Coleman Smith and Arthur Waite. And yes, if any cards fall out, I use those cards, and I also use reversed cards. So the overall energy for the whole month, it talks about you feeling a sense of vulnerability. You have a fear of opening up to other people, and you're not ready to make a decision at this point in time. It does talk about you needing to understand your motivation and why you want to stay where you are. Now, it talks about you being so settled into a way of living. And it does talk about you needing to be very careful in that sense of inertia or boredom in your life. Perhaps you're going through a period of depression as you're going into the month of May 2023, when your life doesn't seem to be going in the direction that you want it to go. But it does talk about you overlooking opportunities or chances that are coming into your life because of that fear of vulnerability, because of that fear of what could happen, what might happen, or what may happen. So it does talk about things smoothing out in relationships in your life, whether that be with coworkers, whether it be with family members, or whether it be with friends or partners. Now it does talk about you're kind of like holding back your thoughts. You're not telling people exactly how you truly feel because you don't want any conflict in your environment. So you're repressing your feelings and you want to preserve the order in your environment. So maybe you have a roommate and maybe you're kind of turning a blind eye to things because you just don't want to cause an argument. But it doesn't mean you're agreeing with everything that they're doing, right? Now, it does talk about you also possibly in that month of May, maybe you're focused on a relationship that's not good for you. And that could be a roommate, that could be a coworker, that could be a partner, that could be a lover, whatever it may be. But apparently this relationship is not good for you. It's not vying good for you. It does talk about a lot of emotional insecurity, but this is ending. You are going to get a grip on this. You're going to get a grip on this, and you're going to bring in a sense of newness into your life, whether that be new relationships, new jobs, new circumstances. It does talk about you lessening the stress in your life, perhaps even moving or renovating or changing things up in your life somehow. So in the month of May, you've got a lot of activity going on, Leo, and indeed they're positive things that are coming into being, but it's going to be a little shaky for you in the month of May because you're kind of like trying to hang on to what you got. You're trying to hang on to what you got because you have that fear. You have that fear of trusting other people, of putting yourself on the line and letting your soul or your heart be hurt. Okay, so you are feeling a little bit sensitive at this point in time as you're moving into the month of May, but it is going to end by the end of May. As you're moving into that third week, things are going to change. You are going to change. You are going to release that sense of vulnerability or that fear of vulnerability that you have so that you can move into the future in a better way, and that's going to bring about newness in your life. So the first couple of days of that first week, it talks about, damn, Leo, after everything I just said, but it does say that there is going to be an unsatisfactory choice in love, perhaps even a breakup or a divorce. Perhaps you're going to quit a job. It does talk about change dynamics in a relationship. So possibly someone in your circle of energy, or maybe you're going to pull away from a bad relationship, a bad circumstance, a bad job, a job that you don't like, a job that's not satisfying your soul. There is definite changing dynamics that are coming in the first couple of days. I mean, it's starting early, the first couple of days of that first week. Then as you move into the middle part of that first week, it talks about reacting to conflict. It's going to create heartache for you. I tell everybody, be very careful about where you direct your anger or your anxiety. Be careful where you direct it because it might just be reflected back on you. It does talk about communication that are going to bring in bad news, rumors, perhaps disturbing messages. It does talk about you having to express your sorrow in some way, and maybe you're going to do that through writing or poetry or music, and that's going to help you deal with your feelings at that point in time. It can also talk about injuries to the ego or to the emotions. It also talks about heart problems, possibly surgery. But this looks like it's other people's problems. So perhaps you're going to get a message about someone who's going in for surgery, perhaps heart surgery. It does talk about being sympathetic to other people's stress, and don't rehash old memories or pain or emotional pain. Okay. It does talk about depression. Depression for someone that you care about, someone is having a hard time to deal with the factions or the things that are going on in their life, and that very well might be someone who's contacting you and saying, listen, I've got some problems with my heart, I have to go into surgery, and they're kind of downloading on you. So be prepared for that. Be prepared for that. It also talks about relationship incompatibilities and arguments, abusive behavior, jealousy, unfaithfulness, separation, a love triangle. So be very, very aware of a love triangle. And we're only in the middle 2 days of that first week. So we're in the, like let's say a Wednesday or a Thursday, if you're talking a week, it's the middle of that week that your eyes are gonna be opened wide, and you're gonna see that, someone that said that perhaps they were your love for life, maybe they weren't. If someone said they were your friend for life, maybe they weren't. Maybe you have a coworker or a friend that's talking behind your back, or maybe you have a partner who's kind of stepping outside that line. But definitely, someone's not acting mature in the middle of that first week, okay? So hopefully it's not you. Well, Leo, it just continues on and on and on, right? So that first week is kind of like a write-off, because in the last 2 days of that first week, it talks about emotional events, upheavals in your life. You're feeling this sense of turmoil because everything is topsy-turvy. It does talk about you finally opening up your eyes and seeing the truth behind things. So it talks about destruction of false beliefs. Something that you thought was true isn't true. So if you thought that someone was going to love you forever, you might find out that no, indeed, they didn't. If you thought that you were going to be in this job forever, well, maybe you're not. If you thought that you found the perfect apartment and you love where you're living, and maybe you're going to find out something about the apartment you don't like. But indeed, you're pulling away from false belief, things that you believe that you're finding out are not true. And it also talks about ideology that doesn't resonate with you anymore. You're not as game as you once were to believe the rhetoric or the bullcrap that people are shooting you, okay? So let's move into that second week and see what happens, because in that first week, like I said, it sounds like it's a write-off. So in that second week, the first couple of days of that second week, it does talk about you holding your own. There's a lot of responsibilities going on. Perhaps you started a new job, or perhaps you did move. Maybe you did move. You started a new job, you went back to school, whatever it may be. A lot of new things are going to be piled on your plate, and you're handling it really well. It also talks about being healthy, being focused, being able to hold it all together, being strong and resilient. Now, maybe you're holding it together for other people who aren't able to hold it together themselves. So maybe you're helping someone out in your life who is dealing with a lot of issues, maybe a lot of trauma. It also talks about you being able to contribute. In some way, you're contributing to someone that you care about, or to a circumstance that you care about. But it does talk about wanting to be involved in your life. You're finally wanting to be involved in your life and not hide behind the curtain. You're not wanting to hide your light under a bushel. It does talk about you taking on a financial health or partnership burden. So there's someone in your life who's dealing with possibly financial issues, and you are going to help them. And Leos normally are like that. If they know that someone's hurting, know that someone needs help, they're right there. They stand right up to the plate. But indeed, it does talk about stressors with all the activities and all the responsibilities that you're taking on. But you're moving forward. You're holding your own. You're doing well. So as I said, that second week sounds like it's pretty good. And actually, the cards aren't looking so bad in that second week. In the middle part of that second week, it does talk about this figure eight in your behavior pattern. Now, whether it be your behavior pattern or whether it be someone who you pulled away from in that second week, where you were seeing the truth of them, you were seeing how truthful they really were, and maybe it wasn't really up to your standards. So you're seeing the behavior patterns in other people around you. And you're starting to see what type of relationships you want to be involved in. You're learning how to handle situations. Now, it also talks about relationships between two households, and that can stand for second marriages. It can stand for families expanding. It can stand for shared custody situations where adult children return home to live with their parents. Perhaps you are returning to live with your parents, or maybe you're returning to live with friends or family members. Maybe you are joining forces with another person to move your life in a new direction. But indeed, it does talk about you looking at things in depth and trying to get a grip on it all, try to understand it all. But indeed, you're settling in well to what is taking place in your life. So what I'm seeing is that you're pulling away from a relationship, a circumstance, an environment, a partnership, a work situation, maybe a job sharing situation. You're pulling away from possibly even a roommate situation, and maybe you are moving into a new facet of your life. So you're going to a new job, or you're going to a new location, or you're going to a new circumstance, a new environment. And of course, there is that transition phase where you will have, it's a little shaky, and it takes some while to get used to living in a new circumstance with new people or new situations. So be aware of that. But it's all pointing to the good, not to the bad. However, as you're moving into the last 2 days of that second week, be very, very careful of disruptive events. And it talks about stimulation-seeking behavior. It talks about a contest of ideas, perhaps an argument. You are going to be making an abrupt break with the past in some way, perhaps a past business, a past friend, or past relationship. You're going to make that abrupt break because you can't handle the stress anymore. And you're tired of that stimulation seeking behavior. You're tired of that constant looking for stimulation from whoever it is in your environment or in your circle of energy. You're tired of it. You can't deal with it anymore. It just causes too much conflict. It causes too much anxiety, and it's affecting your health. So it talks about you looking at these people in your life, these circumstances, the situations, and pulling away from the ones that are dragging you down the road to illness. So definitely talks about you being assertive. You're willing to take on the challenges. You're willing to move forward. You're willing to go after new opportunities. You're tired of being sequestered. You're not going to be held back anymore. You're moving forward. But it does talk about, along with that comes the energetic competition with other people. So possibly there will be other people who will be vying for the same job, and be aware you're going to have to put your best foot forward. And indeed, make sure that you have looked at your resume and you have, pointed out your good facets of your personality, of your work habits. So it does talk about someone showing their true colors in that second week. It also talks about you having to reach out to be supportive of other people. And you're testing yourself. In that second week, you're testing yourself. You're trying new things. You're testing your abilities. You're testing your communication skills. You're testing the fact that you can manage conflict. You're questioning your beliefs. You're questioning how you feel, why you feel, and when you feel it. So it does talk about you feeling excluded at times, and you don't want to feel excluded anymore. You want to reach out. You want to mentally connect with someone, and that's what you're vying for as you're moving into the third week. So you're pulling away from the negativity, and you're moving toward those that are going to bring in the positivity into your life. So it's going to be, it looks like it's going to be a good haul. You're doing well. So let's move into that third week, because in the third week, you have the energy. You have the energy that you need to get involved in these multiple activities that you've been vying for in that second week. So it does talk about you having many activities, and you're enjoying yourself. You have the strength to move forward. You're being your own advocate. You're not putting up with bullshit. It does talk about you uncovering a new meaning in your life, and it's about time. And it says, you're going to get involved in things in your life, in your community, in your social sphere, in your friends, in your family. You're going to get involved. You're interested in absolutely everything as you move into that third week. And this is spurring you on to do more and to do better and to do a lot more spiritual connections to your divine. So it's almost like you have a religious, Well, I wouldn't say religious. I would say spiritual. You have a spiritual connection. It's like somebody perhaps in the afterlife is spurring you on to take control of your life, and they're helping you. It's someone that possibly loved you a great deal, or maybe you've been thinking about them lately. Maybe there's someone that you're thinking about a lot in this third week, someone from your past, someone perhaps who has passed to the next realm. And this person may be acting as your spirit guide and leading you in the direction that you need to go. It's not a bad thing. It's always a good thing when you can find something to believe in, because we need something to believe in. Okay, so the last 2 days of that third week, you're having to choose. You're having to choose between 2 things, 3 things, maybe a job, maybe a circumstance, maybe a way of living. But definitely you're having to make a choice. And as I said, the first and the second week was kind of like eye-opening, and now you're in that transition period. You're waiting for something to happen. You're waiting to find out good news. Maybe you put a request in for a new job or a new position, or maybe you put a request in for a mortgage. Maybe you applied for a mortgage. Maybe you're wanting to buy a property or a house. And you're in that period of stasis where you're waiting to get those calls back. But indeed, it does talk about, there being some frustration. There's some frustration coming into your life while you wait for this news. It could also talk about you waiting for news about a person or about a situation. Maybe someone in your life is planning to visit you, or is planning to, maybe they're planning on buying a house and you're vying for them, you're wishing for them, you're a support system for them. Perhaps you're waiting for them to give you the information if indeed they got past that first stage of applying for a loan, and maybe this person is, you're going to be a support system for this person. I'm excited because it looks like that third week talks about you moving forward. So moving forward on a situation, on a circumstance, on a job, in a relationship, whatever it may be. However, be careful, because there is some sneaky person around you trying to take advantage of you monetarily. And it's someone that you trusted, right? It's someone that you trusted. You never, well, maybe you knew that they were like this, but you didn't think they were this bad. So this person is truly, truly, truly going to show their colors in that third week. And that is going to help you make the choice that you need to make. It does talk, you're going to have to stop making sacrifices for someone in your life because they are taking advantage of you. It's time to pull away. So it does talk about you giving up something, okay? Giving up something in service or in value for someone else. Selling property, selling whatever it may be. Maybe someone can't pay their rent. Maybe they're asking you to help them, and maybe the only way you can help them is to sell something. Maybe you're going to sell something that you have. If you have a bike, if you have a car, if you have a table, I don't know, whatever it may be, okay? Maybe you're selling something to help this person out, or to help someone pay a debt. But it could also be you. Perhaps you kind of miscalculated, and maybe you're having financial difficulties in the latter part of that third week. Is it you? Do you owe money that you aren't able to pay? Maybe you're going to sell something to pay something that you owe. But it's more pointing to someone else. It's someone in your circle of energy, not necessarily you. And it does talk about you digging deep into your pockets to help them in some way. So let's move into that fourth week, because in that fourth week, it looks like you made that choice. Whatever choice you had to make, you made it, okay? You're fighting yourself. You're battling yourself. You're battling yourself whether you should let go of this relationship, this circumstance, this job, whatever it may be. You're battling yourself. And you keep questioning yourself. You'll say yes, and then you'll say no, and then you'll say yes, and then you'll say no. And you're making the people around you crazy, and you're making yourself crazy because you can't come up with an answer. Because you're not looking at it at the facts. You have to look at the facts that are circling this decision that you have to make. And is a yes going to benefit you in any way? Is it going to pacify a situation and just continue on? Or if you say no, is that situation going to stop? Is it going to stop? So this is a decision that you're basing on a false sense of security where you are, whether it be in a relationship, a job, a cohabiting situation, like a roommate situation, whether it be, you want to move to a new section in your job, or you want to move to a new job, you want to get a different job. And you're kind of, that fear of vulnerability that was at the very first of the month, it's extending into the very last of the month, okay? But as you get into the first 2 days of the last week, you know what to do. You visualize it, you thought about it, you've planned it, you've made a step-by-step plan, you're very self-reliant, very individualistic, you're willing to go against the mainstream, you're going to stand up for yourself, you're going to stand up for your personal values. So it says that you're going to make the right choice for you. You're going to take the right steps that you need to take to get out of a bad circumstance or situation. It does talk about your reliability, and you're going to be very successful. But it does talk about an unexpected turn of events. Something is going to happen that is going to basically push you into making a decision, but that decision will be the right one. It's going to be a decision that you necessarily wouldn't have wanted to make at one point, but now that it's made, you're feeling good about it, and you're seeing that it is going to be positive. So let's move into the middle 2 days of that last week. In the middle 2 days of that last week talks about you're managing things, okay? You're up in a turmoil. There's a lot of chaos around you, and you finally made a decision. So that is going to have to spur more choices, okay, and more things taking place in your circle of energy. I mean, if you made a decision to move, you're going to have to start getting boxes. You're going to have to start organizing things and packing things and, relocating things and all those things that come with a move, whether it be a job or whether it be a living circumstance or whether it even be a love relationship. So you've learned from your mistakes, okay? So this is life lesson number 1. Tick that off the list. It does talk about a return of an old friend, someone coming back into your circle of energy because they want to reconnect with you on a soul level. It does talk about rebuilding that trust with another person. So possibly a relationship that had been out of your life for a long time, you're reconnecting with that person, and it's giving you a sense of bonding. It's giving you a sense of belonging. It also talks about someone who is trying to grow out of a sense of victim identification, okay? So someone in your life pictured themselves as a victim, or perhaps they were a victim. Perhaps they were a victim of a bad relationship, a bad circumstance, isolation, depression, whatever it may be. Maybe they felt out of sorts and they're reaching out to you to gain some type of supportive energy. So what I'm seeing is that somebody's reaching out to you, somebody perhaps who is in a bad circumstance, and they've thought about you, and they've wanted to reconnect with you. They're reconnecting with you, and they're hoping that that reconnection is going to give them the strength to move forward in their life. It's someone that needs to have a connection with you in some way. So it might be a soul connection, and that can come up when it comes up for children. When you have children, that could be a child that needs to reconnect with you. That could be a sibling. That could be a parent, a father, a mother, whatever, a grandparent, whoever it may be. Someone needs to reconnect with you because they feel a sense of loss because they haven't had connection with you for a long time. And it is going to bring about positive things in your life. So the last 2 days of that last week, well, there's going to be a little bit of narrowing of your options. So let's say you made a decision and you're looking at it realistically and you're thinking, okay, how can I do this? How do I do this? You made that step-by-step plan and you're following it, and then somebody throws a wrench in the works and you got to think, okay, how do I get over this obstacle? So your options are narrowing in some way. But it does talk about that mask is going to fall. You're going to see beyond the illusion that you've built up in your head. Now, Leos have a tendency to be very impulsive, and they kind of jump the gun. if somebody says something nasty to them, they think that that person hates them, and that's not what it is. If maybe someone's had a bad day, okay, and I'm not saying this is what's going to happen. I'm just saying that those are the type of energies that Leo, people from the Leo sign display a lot of the times. And so maybe you're going to see beyond that illusion that you've created in a relationship in your life, whether it be with a parent, whether it be with a sibling, whether it be with a child, okay? Maybe the scenario that you've developed in your head. Okay, I'll give you an example. Maybe it's a father figure. Maybe you're reconnecting with a father figure because that person was away from your energy. They felt disconnected from you, and so they reached out to you, and you thought, okay, well, yeah, I have to make a decision. Do I want to talk to them or not? And then you talk to them, and then you look at things in a different way. You see that perhaps you have magnified things in your mind to stop this relationship from moving forward, that you have believed for a period of time that perhaps your father figure didn't want anything to do with you, or he wasn't on your side or whatever, and now you're finding out that possibly that person is. Okay, do you see what I'm saying? So the mask is going to fall. You're going to see beyond the illusion, whether it's good or it's for the bad. Now, it does talk about you suppressing some of your desires just to adapt to other people's wants or needs. Your direction may change. You may decide, maybe you wanted to move to one particular spot, and then you reconnected with someone from your past, and you thought, you know what, I might want to move there. The world is your oyster, right? It does talk about things moving in a direction that you weren't expecting at all. There is going to be a turnabout. You are going to change direction, whether it's physically or whether it's mentally. You are going to change direction. But indeed, illusions about people in your life, they're lifting. You're reaching out for a supportive connection to people who are going to nurture your dreams and are solid. So anyhow, I hope that May finds you well, and as you're moving into the month of June, I shall be there waiting for you. So have a wonderful month of May, and I shall see you in June. Namaste, my friends. Be safe, but always, always be kind. Bye-bye.